Aliev with Caris Realty. My guest today is Louis Cardenas from Bargain Movers. And I've known Louis now for about a year and a half, and I have to say that I can highly recommend him in terms of his customer service focus, as well as Bargain Movers and what they've done for my clients. So, Louis, welcome. Tell me a little bit about yourself and Bargain Movers.
Sure, Nicole. Hey, thanks so much for having me over. I appreciate it. Happy to help out here. And thanks again for the opportunity. So a little bit about Bargain Movers. Well, we've been a family-owned and operated company for about 38 years now. My father started in 1982, and then I took over from him in late 2008 after the financial housing collapse in banking. I used to work in the banking industry, and then again, everything happened, so I stepped into this role, and we've been here for about 10 years now, 11 years now, running the business, and just kind of took what my father had as a good foundation and incorporated some corporate principles that I learned from working in corporate America and applied them to a moving company. And well, here we are 11 years later, and servicing nearly 1,000 families a year with a great group of guys on board.
And tell me, do you have any kind of specialty to what you do?
Sure.
Any areas of focus and also locations?
Yeah, we are primarily a household good residential mover. That is our bread and butter. That is what majority of what we do. We service all of the Maryland, DC, and Virginia area, and we also service long distance moves up and down the East Coast within about an 8-hour driving radius for us, right? Okay. We also do some light commercial moves in buildings and offices and so forth. But again, our real specialty is just that household good move that needs to get from one location to the other.
Super. And Louis, just tell me a little bit about how COVID-19 has impacted your business.
So, yes. During this pandemic of COVID-19, we are still considered essential, right? So we are still open and operational. However, we have seen the slow decline now recently from a moving perspective, because everything basically shut down in March 15th, give or take, when we got put on to stay-at-home orders, right? So those lack of transactions that were happening from the second half of March through April is what really pushes May and June business for us. People typically plan for a move about 30 to 60 days out. So now we're starting to feel that little bit of a crunch, where May and June are going to be more challenging months for us from a volume perspective. However, you know, we're in line with everybody else who didn't get the first round of funding for the PPP. So hopefully,
and tell me, in terms of your workers, how's it impacted how they go about doing what they do, moving furniture, being in somebody else's home, touching things, and so on?
Yeah, so we really had to implement some safety protocols for during the COVID-19. One, meaning that our crews are always working in gloves and masks since day one of this pandemic started, and we were advised of everything. Secondly, we're having to sanitize the trucks before and after every shift, get them wiped down, and make sure that we're not helping in the transfer of this virus, right? We're also asking our customers to, please practice social distancing with the crews. Make sure that they are in masks as well. We're asking them to wipe down high-touch surface areas just to be preventative, and also to have a bathroom that the crews can go and use to wash their hands when needed. Because the unfortunate realities of it is that movers cannot really practice 6-foot distance. Social distancing. They're carrying furniture pieces together and so forth, right? So it makes it very challenging. So we really have to make that extra step of making sure that the guys, they have their hand sanitizer, they have their gloves, they have their masks, they're washing their hands, and just reinstilling that focus every morning when we do a dispatch.
And I would imagine also, I mean, this is something that I know that appraisers are doing in the business. They're also asking customers to keep doors and windows open in the house so that as much air is circulating as possible so people are not in a stale environment.
Yeah, I have heard that as well. I have not asked the customers to do that quite yet. My office manager just brought that to my attention a few days ago. But it's a very good point to have the customers, if they're able to kind of open some windows and let that circulation. It's nice. It's spring, so that would definitely help as well.
As long as you don't start sneezing and coughing because of the spring and everyone's going, oh!
Yes, the pollen will get in there, and then next thing you know, people are really, really concerned.
So, tell me, how do you go about, let's get into some of the kind of nuts and bolts of this. When somebody calls you up for a quote on moving, how do you go about giving that quote? Do you do it over the phone? Do you go in person? How do you assess the volume of what you're going to have to deal with?
Okay, not a problem. So there is the pre-COVID-19 way and then the post-COVID-19 way, right? Um, as I tell all of my customers, I'm very big about two things here. And one is setting expectations correctly, and two is being upfront with the cost, right? So how we do that is getting a clearly defined scope of work of what needs to be done or what they would like us to do, and then an inventory of the home. So for example, when we typically move a single family home, I would normally go out to the home and do a physical on-site estimate and go through the entire home with them, take an inventory, and talk about the scope of work of what they want to pack themselves or what they would like us to pack, right? And then that gives me a good idea to put this all together and judge how much material is needed, what size of crew is needed, and how many trucks are needed, right? Because it's all based off inventory and scope of work. Now, what we do is we do a video call, just like this, except for they're on their phone. We flip the camera around. They're walking me through the house, and I'm able to take my notes as if I was just there, right? So that's how we've adapted to the post COVID-19 estimating for the larger homes, like single family homes and townhouses. Now, if you're just moving an apartment, I can pretty much do that over the phone, right? It's pretty average of what you have in an apartment and depending on the size of the apartment. But it's really just asking those questions and uncovering what they really want to do and what they really have in the home, right? And then we'll put this all together for them. We email them a full written 3-page quote that has everything in writing. And then we go from there.
And do you have any addenda that are, is protecting either you or the homeowner in terms of this COVID-19?
So there is nothing in there about protection of COVID-19 because the realities of it is you're never going to know where you got it from. Whether my guys came in and got sick, they can't pinpoint it to one customer as if when they went to the gas station just after work, right?
Right.
So we are asking our customers if they feel any flu-like symptomatic coughs
If
or
they're
anything like that
experiencing any symptoms, yeah, much the same that we do.
to
Yeah.
let us know. And our crews they're advised the same way. Just let us know if you're feeling this. I've got no problem calling a customer and saying, look, ma'am, I'm sorry, we're going to be a man short today, or we need to reschedule because nobody's life is worth risking to send somebody out that may be sick, right?
Absolutely.
We don't want to get our employees sick. We don't want the customers to be sick. But those are really the steps that we can take to kind of help prevent this going forward.
Now, you were saying, Lewis, that kind of you would pack, kind of you'd go through with the house and determine what the customer would pack and what you would pack. Are there things that you prefer customers to pack, or are you open to anything and everything?
So look, it all depends on what the customer needs are, right? We are a full service moving company from A to Z, meaning you can sit back, put your feet up on the coffee table and drink an Arnold Palmer and just let us do everything,
And
right?
you'll move the person with their Arnold Palmer, right?
Yes, exactly. We'll shrink wrap right onto the couch and get them out the door,
There
right?
you go.
The challenge is that when it comes to moving, we are typically the last line item on the budget when it comes to buying a house. So people really want to try to save as much as they can at the end. Unfortunately, sometimes that leads consumers to choosing cheap movers. Okay, and that's where they're going to kind of regret their decision and end up getting nickel and dimed or surprised at the end of the day, right? The challenge with us is that we want everything to be packed properly and correctly because that's where the most time is lost during a move. However, the price tag of a full service pack and move is twice the cost of just a move only. Okay. So a lot of times folks will see that and say, okay, well then don't worry, we're going to pack ourselves, right? We just want you to move everything. And when we move you, we will still take care of padding and wrapping all the furniture. We'll take care of disassembling and reassembling the beds and dressers with mirrors and things of that nature. It's simply the customer's responsibility then to make sure that everything is packed in a sealed box or bin. So a good rule of thumb is if it fits into a box, please have it packed in a box. Because at the end of the day, it's kind of like a game of Tetris with the guys, right? Box A goes into slot B in the truck a lot better than what do I do with this lamp that is still sitting on the end table, has a lampshade on it, and still plugged into the wall with a light bulb. Well, you can't safely move that. So again, everything into a box. I had a customer one time tell me, he's like, so basically, Lewis, what you're telling me is that my poor planning will cost me more money. I said, exactly. That's right. It's that simple because that is where the most time is lost during a move. It's when we arrive and things are not properly ready. Okay. To answer your first question of what we prefer or want customers to do versus what we do, look, it's very easy for customers to pack the simple stuff, books, linens, things of that nature, right? A lot of times customers will leave the TVs, lamps, artwork, things of that nature for us to pack, which is fine. You know, we'd rather do it so ensuring that it's done properly, because if you pack something in a box as a customer, you are responsible and liable for that because I can't guarantee how it was packed, right? I had this lady one time, she took all the dishes out of her kitchen cupboard and she took them out and she just put them right inside of a big plastic bin and put teacups all around it and put a lid on it. She thought she was packed. Well, obviously, we can't move that. It's going to break. It wasn't properly packed. So there's plenty of resources of learning how to pack. There's things on our Facebook page, on our website, and just YouTube. Hey, how to pack a kitchen, right?
Super. And actually, one of the things I heard that you say that I have to say from my own experience, and I've moved 22 times, is that not all movers actually wrap furniture and so on. And I think that's a major thing. So I was pleased to hear you say that, you know, using shrink wrap, using moving blankets and so on to protect furniture and walls, right? It's not just, you know, the furniture, it's what you're going through and by.
Exactly. And that's part of having that conversation with the customer and their willingness to kind of listen to your guidance, because a lot of companies, you're right, they won't come in and wrap everything, or it'll be a low cost per hour provider. And then if you want it wrapped, they're going to charge you per individual piece to wrap. Right. So there is no standardization in the moving industry. Okay. It's kind of like the wild, wild west when it comes to how pricing structure. However, most and all reputable moving companies are going to be padding and wrapping your furniture, because at the end of the day, you want to minimize any nicks or scratches or damage that may occur during a move. And that's the only proper way to do it.
And what about things like weapons? And, you know, if a customer has guns, who's responsible for moving those? You, or do you prefer the customers move their own?
We ask the customers to move all their own guns and ammo, arms, anything like that. We will not move them. In particular, we will not take that across state lines either. And I feel it's just safer if the customer can take care of it, because we'll move a gun safe and we just ask them, you know, please have the guns and everything removed out of it. Right.
Okay. Good to know. And what about specialty items like grand pianos, or, you know, if you've got a fabulous old vintage car, I'd love to have one myself, but, you know, you've got to move that, say, across state lines or something like that. Do you do that kind of thing, or do you contract that out? How does that work?
So there are certain things that we will do on our own and move, like basically pianos. We would move those ourselves if there's an upright piano or a baby grand piano. But we also work with a third party company that will partner with us and move the piano, for example. We had one that needed to go and be hoisted 10 feet up the stairwell and over top of the banister rail. Well, you know what? I will let a piano moving professional do that and contract it out with them, as opposed to us having to take the liability. Not that we're not professional movers, but I'm a firm believer in, hey, look, if this is exactly and only what you do, then do that, right? And at the end of the day, I want my customer to have that great experience. So we have third-party companies that we work with for car transport if we needed to relocate a car. If there's also specialty crating needs, right? Sometimes folks have these priceless pieces of artwork that have very intricate frames, or mirrors that have glass decorative features around it, and that piece needs to be properly crated in order to safely move it. Then we have a third-party crating company that'll come in and move it. Okay, I'm sorry, not move it. They'll come in and crate it,
Package
and
it.
then we'll move it, right?
Okay.
So we've got the resources in place for when those things arise. Now, if it's getting a couch up a 15-foot balcony, so because it won't go up the stairwell, yeah, we've done that. That's not a problem. We just safely, securely tie off and wrap up the couch and then hoist it up and then get it into the living room, things of that nature.
So what's the strangest thing you've ever had to move?
An airplane.
Oh, really? A big
So,
one or a small one?
it fit into a truck, so it wasn't that big. The truck you probably see in the background here is a truck we moved it in. So we're fortunate. We're right in the Gaithersburg, Maryland. So we're right by the air park. And I got a call from a client that says, hey, I've got a deconstructed plane and I need to move it. And I said, really? Well, how big is this? So I went out and looked at it, and off the fuselage separated, and it was just the wire frame of the plane. But we loaded up the fuselage centerpiece and then put the wings on the side of it, loaded it up into a truck, and took them from this hangar to another hangar in Leesburg.
That's awesome. Well, I have two last questions for you. So both of them somewhat practical. I know that the summer is one of the busiest times for movers. So how would you guide somebody if they know that they're going to have to move during the summer? How much advance notice do you typically want to get from them? I know that this year might be somewhat crazy because everything is knocked on, but...
So in normal times, yes, the spring and summer are extremely busy with movers. We're very seasonal. So April kicks off moving season, and you've got April, May, June, July, and then August is the last push before everybody goes back to school and everybody tries to move, right? In those summer times, you want to allot 30 to 60 days at minimum to booking a move. June is historically our busiest moving month. So if you want to move in June, I would book your job by the end of April at the latest, right? Just to ensure availability, because the weekends get booked up faster than any other day, and the beginning of the month and the end of the month are the fastest times during the month that get booked up, because everybody's closing on homes, everybody's leases are up, and so forth, right? So again, 30 to 60 days is good for the summertime. And right now, you can probably get away with 1 to 2 weeks notice with everything that's happening. Unfortunately, with the volume decrease of what's going on with COVID-19. So that's the best way to properly plan. And when you're planning a move, I tell everybody when I talk to my customers, get 3 qualified quotes, okay, from reputable moving companies. Give them a call, have them all do an in-home or virtual estimate with you so that they can really get a feel of what needs to be done, the scope of work, right? And then who you feel comfortable working with. At the end of the day, they are going to be moving your worldly possessions, right? It's everything you own. So you want to feel comfortable with that mover and ensuring you're going to have a great experience. Customer service is one of our primary focuses here. And it's really big for us to make sure that our customers have a great experience from start to finish, from the time that they call in and speak with Martina, my office manager, to the time that we do an estimate, to the time that the guys come up, show up, do the job, and get them into their new home.
And tell me, there are a lot of people who are in the unfortunate position where they've got to be moving their elderly parents or dealing with the estate of their elderly parents and moving things from, one location to another. And frequently I know that there are also a lot of items that need to be discarded along the way or donated. Do you work with different companies to be able to donate or find somebody who can, kind of sell it on or something like that?
We do. We work with a lot with a donation with a wider circle down in Silver Spring. We take a lot of items and donate it to them. We also work with consignment shops, right? Relationships that we've built and referring our customers to them in order to try to resell some furniture, right? Right now, the challenge is that none of these donation sites are receiving anything. So then right now, customers are left with, hey, I've got nowhere to put this. I don't know what to do. So the only other recourse right now is disposal, right? And junking it because they can't get rid of it. They can't move it. And the transfer stations are only allowing commercial vehicles in at the present time, meaning you can't just load up your pickup truck with 2 old dressers and take it there yourself.
Very interesting. Okay.
We found that out a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So those are some of the challenges. Outside of that immediate challenge here, the downsizing and elderly portion of it is just, making sure that you walk them through the process and have plenty of patience, and giving help where it's needed. Because a lot of time the older community needs help in fully packing everything because they don't have the time, the ability to, nor the resources, because their family may not be in the immediate area or so forth. So it becomes more of a hand-holding experience for them and making sure that they're well taken care of. And that's all just simply done through effective communication, open lines of communication from start to finish. But those are your little keys to the senior moving, right? And then making sure you're able to help them set the home up the way that they want it. Where do you want that recliner chair? Where do you want the bed set up?
So having some pre-planning to that with a floor plan would definitely help.
Yep. And we work with an organizing company, right? So we love to refer to them, and they'll come out and help them organize all that. Okay, here's the floor plan, here's the layout, here's where this could be good, here's what we may be able to purge. So again, it comes down to the resources you have around you, right? There's a saying, you are the sum of the 5 people you surround yourself with most, right? Well, the sum of a company is the number of the valued resources and contacts you have. And I like to think that we've built a pretty good network here. So whatever a need may be, we can pretty much get you in the right direction. Kind of like,
that's awesome.
Like you, Nicole, right? I mean, your clients ask you for just about everything. Who's the mover? Who's the painter? Who's the plumber? Who's this?
Absolutely.
Well, we operate in the same way. People want to get hardwood floors done. Okay, I got a hardwood floor guy. No problem. Things of that nature.
So lastly, what do we tip you? So, people often ask, like, okay, these guys have been working all day, and what's the average? What do we do?
Well, if you want to tip me, please feel free. Okay, just go ahead. I'll give my Zelly account. You can just tip right away. So we live in a tipping society now, and moving is kind of a tipping industry if guys do great work. It's not required. It's very much appreciated because these guys are doing hard work for you, right? We don't do it as a percentage, but depends on the size of the move. If it's, a 2-day project, or if it's a simple apartment. If it's a simple apartment, a 1-2 bedroom apartment, and you have 3 guys there, $20, $25 a person, they're happy, right? If it's a larger scale move and it's, a full pack-in move and it's 2 days of process and they're there with you for 8 to 10 hours, $50 to $100 a person is not unheard of. It can get costly when you have 5 guys there, but, that's more on the higher end. And at the end of the day, it really comes down to, do you feel you had a great experience with your crew, right? That it's just like when you go to a restaurant. If my server gave me mediocre service, they're going to get a mediocre tip. If they go above and beyond, then, they're getting their 20-25% tip, right? Same thing with the moving side of it. But it is very much appreciated. But more than anything, outside of just tipping, okay, have water for the guys.
Oh, that's a great idea. And food, right? I fed my
well,
movers.
yeah, guys are appreciative if you have lunch,
Yeah.
right? But just having water or having to, communicate with them. Hey, here's a bathroom for you guys to use, right? We're all humans. We're all working. Just treating each other with respect and understanding, and that goes a long way, right? I've had guys out on a 10-hour shift and not even been offered a glass of water before,
Wow.
and it's hard. It's really hard work. So, if you mentioned food, if you want to feed the guys and it's an 8-9 hour day that they're working, my tip for feeding our crew members, let them get the truck loaded first and then have lunch ready for them at the destination. Do not feed them prior to leaving your origination, because then that food coma will set in there and that last hour will kind of drag out. So like the dangling carrot, right? Have it at the other end. It makes that last hour of loading go very quick because they're hungry. So let's go.
Right.
Hey, the quicker we get this on the truck, I got subs and everything else for you. A variation from pizza is always appreciated because pizza is always the easiest thing.
It's the
So they always,
go-to, yes.
it's go-to. Don't get me wrong. They're, again, very appreciative. But we've moved deli owners, right? Sub shop owners before, and here in Clarksburg. And, he went to the shop and had them all handmade delicious subs. I mean, they didn't stop talking about that for like weeks, right? So yes, it's very much appreciated
Super.
from tipping.
Well, Lewis, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And, I've appreciated your work before for my clients. So good luck with this COVID-19. And I hope business really does pick up. I know for small business owners like you, it's really tough right now. And, some of the financing and so on that's coming through is coming through slower than we would have hoped. But I know that, your company's been in business as a family business for, what's it, 30 odd years, as you said in the beginning. And I foresee it'll go forward. So thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate it, Nicole. Thank you so very much. We'll all get through this together, and please stay safe out there.
Super. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Take care.